Westhill.
Is you fucking crazy or what? I lost it! I lost the car!
Hello and welcome to a brand new series here on Sim Broadcasts in Live for Speed. It is the second season of the Retro Cup for 2025. Round 1 will take place at Westhill North RGE Retro, which is a track we have seen before, but with a whole fleet of cars and regulations and rules and commentators that you won't have seen or heard before. I'm Peter Butcher, you know me, but you don't know the other three gents in my ear tonight. We have Kieran Robson, we have Rob Mathershaw, and we have Adam Sears for you this evening. So, gents, Kieran, let's start with you. Welcome along.
Good evening, Pete. Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? A really exciting championship to make the debut on commentary on. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. I'm looking forward to an exciting race of unpredictability, let's say. That will be the word of the day.
Great to have you with us. Rob, welcome along.
Good evening, everybody. Now, it's great. Thank you for having us on this one. Really looking forward to multi-class racing with some absolutely fantastic race cars. It's going to be a brilliant championship.
Great to have you here too. And Adam, welcome to the commentary box.
Good evening. Pleasure to be here. Yeah, can't really say anything else beyond what the other guys have said. Just looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we've got a crowded one this evening, and you'll learn learn who we have in the box as we head towards the start of the race and also throughout the season. So thanks for joining me in the commentary box, gents. Let's get into tonight's action and tell the viewers exactly what we've got coming up. Here is the track, 6.2 kilometers, 3.8 miles, making use of quite a few of the outfield and the track roads at Westhill, in the redesigned Westhill. We have had 60 minutes of qualifying, and we're going to head into a 90-minute race, which has been calculated to be 46 laps. So this is a beast of a race tonight. We've got a Le Mans style start, which adds quite a lot of intrigue. I'll throw that one to you, Kieran. You'll have a Le Mans start, don't you?
I do love a Le Mans start, and I particularly love the story of 1969 with Jackie Ickx, but I'll come on to that history lesson a little bit later today. But plenty of action to probably happen straight off the line.
I love a bit of history. Driver changes, interestingly, in this championship are allowed at a pit stop. So will we see any drivers changing tonight? We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be quite difficult to keep track of because we have so many qualifiers. So that's the track. Let's have a look at the schedule for tonight's action. The schedule for the season's action. In fact, we have a 7-round championship. Round 1 is at the Westhill North RG Retro track that we've seen before. Then we're going to head to tracks we might not have seen before. Aston, Blackwood, Fernbay, Kyoto Ring, a custom track at Layout Square with Berlin, and then a 2-hour sort of mini endurance race at Westhill de la Sarthe, which sounds very interesting, towards the end of the year in December. So lots and lots of action to come. But let's have a look at the cars. And Lorenzo, the promoter and organizer of this championship, has prepared a quick video for us, which we're going to play now.
Introducing the road class, Porsche Camera and Piran Firefly 200. These two cars are evenly matched and will bring some of the most spectacular action in the Retro Cup. These two cars have very different strength. For example, the Porsche is much faster in the straights, while the Piran Firefly is a lightweight car capable of going full attack in the corners and make for a great spectacle. Introducing the Group 5. These GT cars are absolute beasts, capable of reaching speeds up to 300 kph. The Fendt Mustang Pro and the Porsche will bring the heat on the Retro Cup calendar. These cars have different strengths. For example, the Porsche is an absolute monster on the straights, while the Mustang Pro is a much more balanced car. These two cars are evenly matched and will bring the heat on the Retro Cup. Introducing the Prototype 2. Based on the mid-70s sports prototypes, the Wessex R74 is a fan favorite of the Retro Cup. Introduced in the Season 1 of the Series, This car is fast and very well balanced, and can even challenge the top class in some of the twistier tracks. You have to expect close battle and wheel-to-wheel action in all the rounds of the series. Welcome to the Prototype 1. This is the top class, the fastest cars of the Retro Cup, McElroy and Ferenzi. Two extremely fast and dangerous prototypes, capable of reaching speeds up to 350 km per hour. You'll have to show respect to these cars, or you could find yourself flying around the racetrack. The McElroy is the most powerful car in the series, but the Ferenzi have better drivability. These cars will bring the drivers to their absolute limit, and will bring some of the most spectacular action you'll ever see on Leap for Speed. Are you ready for the challenge, retro drivers?
What a spectacular preview that was of the cars that we're going to enjoy tonight. Plenty of action coming. Let's have a look at the qualifying standings and see how everybody lined up for their hour of qualifying. It's a huge grid, 40 cars, and it's Themuli who tops the timesheets with a 1:55.07 ahead of Matti, Roni, Unite, Maserati, Onifus, Mouseman LV, Lorenzo, Gabba, and LG Mies. That's your top 10, of course, split throughout various classes. Rayman, Hiwatt, Tim DC, Twincam, Tamas, Coyote, Bobby Six Killer, R. Nilsson, Yere, and Benzin are your top 20. Over on the second page, we've got Jay Williams, Beta, Twict, Donald, Stiefler, Stephen Martin, Mad Jester, Trespasser, 136 from Born to Race, Cried, Zed Mogus, Tatarone, Omar, Jam616, Magic, Elliot Howard, Sky Affair, Dario, Hermani, and Perudo. 40 qualifiers across 4 different classes. We may well have a page 3. We do! One driver did not make it in. Baroni06 will not be joining the qualifying session unless somebody else knocked them out. That's a lot of names to get used to, especially for our brand new commentary team. And yeah, we're going to have a bumper race. I think it's going to be you, Rob, who will take the start. That's a lot of cars.
Absolutely. I think the multi-class action here will be fast, frenetic, and hectic. I'm going to take the start, and then as soon as it all starts to settle down, Kieran I'm sure, will be able to correct all of my mistakes. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this one get started.
Yeah, one thing we should also be aware of is obviously on this Le Mans style start, you want to be careful not to spin it out and block the track as well.
Yeah, that unique starting style will surely be a challenge. That I know that some of these guys who have experience in the past, a good qualifying performance is obviously crucial, but especially with a Le Mans style start, I'm sure they'll be able to make up a few good spots with a little bit of experience.
Yeah, we are seconds away from the start of the race. Lorenzo is getting everyone ready in the background, doing what seems to be a solo job of organising everything. So he's done a marvellous job so far as Season 2 gets underway. And Rob, take us away for the start.
Here we go then. We are lined up at the Westhill circuit. We've got 4 classes of high-powered cars and road-derived machinery ready to go for an hour and a half here at Westhill. Who's going to get the jump on everybody else? We wait for the cars to make their move. No lights here, of course. It is a retro theme, so we're waiting for the flag to fly. And we are racing here at Westhill. Themuli, it looks like a big slide, and we've got carnage already in the mid-pack. Some of the multi-class cars, it looks like one of the prototype 2s. Reese looks like he's had a bad issue there, and indeed, one of the cars is off, but Themuli is clear and away. Second place there, Matti. No, Roni, sorry, going off wide already. Mouseman is upside down, I'm hearing in my ear. Absolute carnage so far at Westhill, but they start to stream through towards turns 3 and 4. Themuli racing away at the front, nice and clear. Looks like one of the only cars in the front, really, that had a clean start. Matti second, Roni third, and Sidus in 4th place.
I think part of that chaos might have been because of the not only was it a mixed class, but it's also mixed grid on the mixed classes on the grid, so everyone's sort of a bit tangled up on each other.
a total tale of two halves there. First place, Thamuli just getting the jump, getting away nice and cleanly. Second place, going for a full pirouette 360 before even getting to turn one. A lot of work to be done by Matty, who we're looking at right now as he heads into the tight technical outfield section, probably more suitable for cars visiting the track and parking up to observe more so than racers themselves. Look at these onboards now as they fly through past all the furniture, which they just have to be so careful when they get to the apex there, not to touch the grass and unsettle the cars.
Oh, a big issue for Unite. Unite's absolutely, well, he's lost a ton of places. We'll get an update, of course, at the timing lines. Not live timing towers here, but he's going to drop down the order. There he goes, down to 4th place.
Yeah, big problem early on beside us there. He's falling down, but looking at these cars streaming through on this first lap, absolutely. Apologies, Unite, apologies, yes, but a bad start from Unite there, unfortunately. But yeah, watching these cars stream through what was these access roads that have now turned into the ribbon of racetrack is just stunning.
Strange bit of track this. It's the kind of overpass section. You go up a hill onto a really tight left-hander and then down a ramp back onto the main circuit.
Just taking a look now at Thamuli in P1. He made 5.5 second gap to second place. I cannot quite understand how he's pulled out such a huge gap on one lap. I think Thamuli's been certainly putting in the practice laps that he needs to in preparation for this event.
Very much so. Thamuli 5, as you say. Oh, twin cam goes wide as well. 6th place, they're going to lose another couple of spots. One thing to note at the moment is we've got a lot of muddling at the front end here, with Maserati leading in the Prototype 2 category, 2.5 seconds behind one of the other Prototype 1 cars, while in Group 5, 7th overall is Tim DC. At the moment, everything will take a couple of laps, it looks like, to shake out and settle down, but as we can see on the track here, twin cam ahead of one of, in fact, it's the class leader in Group 5, but Thamuli now 7 seconds to the good. Kieran, you saw it first. He is absolutely sprinting away here.
A 7-second advantage with just over 1.5 laps completed is a pretty crazy gap. I'd be interested to know what his tyre and fuel strategy is for the long term of this race. Of course, pit stops not mandatory in this championship, and you don't have to pit, of course, but with the tyre burn on these rear-wheel drive, heavy horsepower, big turbo-like cars, you'd expect them to burn through tyres and burn through fuel. But Thamuli is also there's a huge accident for Gabba there.
Yeah, he's got to be careful where he reverses here, but he went straight into the back of Tim DC. Tim hit the well, not the catch fence, just the fence. We're in retro here, on the outside, and Gabba went right under him.
Well, I think part of the reason for this mix-up classes is that those Prototype 1 cars are so hard to drive that obviously just mistakes just happen so quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Gabba's already on the move. He's trying to get back past Sir Norris Coyote, and he's pushed both of them wide, and he goes through the tyres, and that's huge one. He's smashed into a wall, and that's massive damage, and will be either a retirement or a trip to the pit lane. Oh, this is bad.
Crash just continues there as well.
That's absolutely massive. Gabba there, very lucky as well that he didn't take out, I think it was Unite in one of the pink cars. So yeah, that well, it wasn't a monumental incident. The back of that car is absolutely destroyed, but it almost had the potential to take another couple of the key competitors out here.
Yeah, well, while those guys go to the pit lane and sort their cars out, that'll be an unscheduled early pit stop, so potentially 2 stops from those guys.
We're only there sliding the rear end. Oh, Magic.
Where's Magic gone? He's gone very wide on the run down the back straight section here. Not sure if that was sort of aided or whether he's just driven off, unfortunately. But that is, yeah, he's just drifted wide apparently, and that is him down in P30. As we've got a fight here between LG Mies and Mouseman.
Here we go, Mies in the pink Prototype 1 car, I think that is, with Mouseman as well, the two P1s battling hard. Mies going to possibly get boxed up a little bit behind one of the Group 5 cars. One of the key nuances of multi-class racing is, of course, that strengths and weaknesses are different everywhere, and you can see on the onboard in the inset, LG Mies wrestling the wheel nice and hard to try and keep up with Mouseman. Mouseman's going to get past the back marker, but not actually Mies as well. So Mouseman with a little bit of margin there. Of course, it is a little bit harsh to call them a back marker when they are in a different category, but at the moment Mies won't worry about what class he's in. He is just desperate to get past and make up the time he's lost there on Mouseman.
You can see those prototypes ones have got so much speed in the straight, they can just fly past people, but as soon as it gets to sort of braking zones and corner exits, they just seem to struggle.
And in the what looks like the prototype, the Group 5 class.
Five.
We
Oh,
are
big one, big
and
one.
another big one. We were three abreast there, or three in a row, but one of those has just absolutely mauled the tyre barrier there. So that's just going to break that one up a little bit. Mies now right back with Mouseman for what looks like 17th. That was Williams from P12 there with the issue in the Mustang. Unfortunately, it looks like severe damage. The front splitter very much askew, as well as the rear spoiler. So it looks like, unfortunately, a return to the pits for repairs is probably in his near future.
You want to be careful you don't run out of spare parts for these Mustangs. They seem to be in the wars constantly at the moment.
Yeah, very much so. And then you see Roney there taking 8th position, I believe, ahead of Tim DC. That's a great illustration of the difference between the classes here. Oh, here we go. We're hearing as well that Thamuli is the first to reach the lapped traffic, and there's one of the road cars there running a little bit wide, making it a little bit, possibly trying to get out of the way a little bit too well there in front of Thamuli. But that 12-second margin, Thamuli knows that he does not have to push too hard through this traffic. If there's a moment where he needs to just sit and wait, especially as we get into the more tight parts of the circuit up at 12, 13, 14 and 15, then discretion will certainly be the better part of the valour for our race leader.
Of
I had a
course,
small chuckle there. You said that Thamuli needs to just take it nice and easy and not push too hard. He's doing everything but what you just said. He's pushing harder than anyone else on the field. Nearly a 13-second gap and navigating 5, 6, 7, I believe, of the road classes there as you went through Sector 2, which is the most technical, the most tight, and definitely the place where you're going to lose the most time if you're in the more powerful cars like Thamuli is here. But he's putting on a clinic right now. We're nearly 5 laps in and he's just leaving everyone for dust.
These back ones got to be very careful when they're letting people through as well, because although, they have to get out of the way, they also, most of them are still in a battle, so they need to make sure they aren't losing too much time to people they're racing with.
And there we see Williams in P29 in the pits making the repairs to his Mustang. Unfortunately, that incident has cost him severely. But as Thamuli, the race leader, starts the 5th lap of this one, as you say, he's 14 seconds now ahead of Onifus with Unite in 3rd. In terms of our class leaders, 4th overall is Maserati in Prototype 2, while all the way up in 9th and 10th is a relatively close battle, 5 seconds in it between Tim DC and Itamas in the Group 5 class, while the lead, at the moment I can't quite see who is in the lead of the road category outside of the top 20 overall, but fast, frenetic and pretty close racing all throughout the field, well, with the exception of our lead category.
See, when you talk about endurance racing, you always talk about consistency and rhythm and the ability to constantly, lead and put in consistent lap times and just keeping that over that extended period of time. These cars provide anything but consistency, and I'm struggling to understand how even top class drivers like Thamuli will be able to maintain this pace, for the whole 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, we've had
We've
all
got a little
those...
bit of a drift there from Howard. Sorry to cut across you, Adam. 31st overall, but just completing the classes. Donald is leading the road category at the moment with a good performance, 21st. And Mouseman, we're hearing, has had a spin as well. Yes, he's off in what looks like 3 and 4, going over the rumble curbs there as well. But that's a big issue there for Mouseman. He was going relatively well, battling quite hard with LG Mies. So, not a great start from Mouseman, starting to just kind of squirrel the car there, get rid of any gravel on the tyres and in any of the bodywork, start to make that way back forward, hopefully.
Mouseman looks like he's bullfighting more so than driving here at this point. Sorry to cut across you, Adam, there. That car is wiggling, shaking and throwing him around. It's lap 6, you've got 40 more laps to go, Mouseman.
The advantage of these guys that have had those accidents early on is that although they might be a lap down at the moment, they are still going to be able to have a race because they'll be racing each other.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Something to bear in mind with these lower categories as we see TTA Mass off as well in the from 10th position. So high rate of attrition so far. We're seeing quite a lot of drivers struggling with these retro cars that are very, very challenging to drive indeed. One person though that is not struggling at the moment is Thamuli. We are nearly 20 seconds to the good as he throws the car round at what looks like to be, I think that was turn 6 and 7. A beautiful drift there from Thamuli.
Yeah, that section of track is so difficult because you're coming off the main circuit onto a really narrow access road, and then you've got a uphill that immediately goes downhill into a blind 90-degree left-hander. It's so difficult to get your braking right.
I'm really hoping we can stay on board with Unite through this Sector 2 here, just so people can get an idea of just how narrow and also how violent these cars are. Look at him trying to follow through. I'm just trying to work him out on the timing time here, who he's just behind here. I think it's Boniface here. This is the battle for second and third, the podium positions right now.
Oh, Boniface has got one.
Oh
no.
Just misses him. Unite just missing him there, inheriting second
Great
place.
avoidance
Boniface is
work.
up and going.
Wonderful reactions there from Unite to avoid the crashing Boniface, but unfortunately I think that might well have robbed us of a monumental battle for second overall and second in P1 at the moment. But yeah, Unite, as you say on this onboard, absolutely ragging this prototype. Looks completely out of control all the time, and yet you can see it is man and machine in perfect harmony, hard on the brakes into this right-hander, flicking it in, pitching it in and catching that slide. It is just a joy to watch these cars even hot lapping.
It's
It's
throttle
absolutely
control.
phenomenal noise as well. You can hear everything going on in the car. The drivers must be enjoying this a lot, and also not as they throw the car over those undulations down the back straight. Looks, as Rob put it perfectly, out of control all the time.
That left-hander is so tricky. You can see the massive curve on the inside. You don't want to be hitting that, and also it feels so strange to get the brake into that right, and it just wants to go straight on all the time. It's so difficult.
Absolutely, we're watching Unite on the cameras here, 23.5 seconds behind Thamuli, but actually if you think about the fact that he was behind Boniface, perhaps he's going to find a little bit of pace, so it'll be interesting to see that gap between Thamuli and Unite. But at the moment we also see Maserati leading the class in P2, or Prototype 2, sorry, third overall, ahead of who have we got in P2 in that class? That is Lorenzo, 7 seconds back. So the battle for Prototype 2 on is still not a lot of breathing room for Maserati. We've seen how difficult these cars are to drive. And then Twin Cam looks to be about a further 15 seconds back from the Italian. So, yeah, really settling into quite a nice rhythm here, quite a lot of these drivers. The leader has lapped all the way up to P18, so making light work of the traffic so far. But of course, with the remainder of the field relatively far back, they have that all to do.
You just get the feeling that things are just starting to settle in just a tad as we now look to see once again some of the perils of overtaking traffic. And
Brilliant.
I'm forced to eat my words live on Sim broadcast there. As I say, things are settling down. Nilsson just telling me to pretty much shut up on live stream there.
Looks like that was Omar trying to get out of the way, but Nielsen went the same way, so they just got all tangled up there.
This car looks like a wedge. Like, I think if Omar had braked any harder, he would have gone straight over the roof. It's fantastic.
Nearly a comedy moment there if we were going to see that. And I love the fact it's taken us 6 laps to put the curse of the commentator on someone. So great work there, Kieran. You've got it out the way for all of us.
It's my first one and I'm going to remember it forever. Now we look at Boniface here, who's trying to recover from obviously P2, where he had that unfortunate accident in Sector 2, and now sitting in P10. Obviously a lot of racing to go, so plenty of time for him to make up. And as we've just seen there, all it takes is one small mistake, like LG Mize there is just demonstrating right there. One small mistake and it can cost you all that time. So we look at Thamuli with the 24-second gap. One spin and all of that's gone. All that good work undone.
Yeah, most definitely, and you can see that Boniface as well does have to go through a number of the other classes before the nearest P1 competitor of Roney in the McLaren. About 30 seconds that gap, if not 40. But you're watching on board or on the TV screen there, Williams winding his way through some of the road car traffic as well. Absolutely precision in that car now that he's got it repaired. Although you do have to wonder, with such a fast, frenetic pace and such a huge field of multi-class racing, through no fault of his own, I wonder how long that car's going to stay clean for.
Well, he's
That
already been
must
through
be.
pit lane, hasn't he? Because he's already repaired the car. He's making his way back through the road class traffic and doing a safer job about it than he was before.
Absolutely. Once bitten, twice shy. Apparently we've got Coyote, who is extremely hard, and he is unfortunately out. And there we go. I think
a spinner
just
there
seen
as well.
a spinner. I think that was Hynat, or Hiwatt, sorry, in behind Boniface there.
I've cursed Williams. That's the second
It's
curse
Williams.
of the
It
night.
was Williams.
Yeah, and we've got Trespasser upside down as well. He's been caught as a member of the road class. He's on his roof, and well, Williams was in the same gravel trap, so you can only put 2 and 2 together for that one.
Yeah, it looked like Williams just got on that curb and just tried to get the power down and just spun himself out.
Thamuli there just overtaking the upside down road car with its wheels spinning. Unfortunately, when you're upside down, the throttle will not be very useful, but you can see there Mies behind the leader as well. And nearly a wobble. Well, it was a wobble there, nearly losing it was Mies, and he was in the gravel previously with right rear damage, we're hearing as well. So a tough start for Mies as well. We've got Lorenzo here in 6th position, 5 seconds away, sorry, from the Prototype 1 car of Roni. But it looks like that gap between him and Maserati has remained relatively stable for P2 honours. If anything, I think Lorenzo might be just about closing it up. So it certainly looks like it might hot up with time in Prototype 2. We've got Gabba here in 16th, the last car at the moment on the lead lap. Obviously, that's only a matter of time, as he just looks like he just clips the wall in his efforts to try and get round the road car class car there. But yeah, this is quite the first race for the three of us.
I'm not sure if there's a magnet on that barrier because people just seem to be going into it constantly.
We've got 2 more cars off in the gravel trap. I think Trespass has been rescued by Twin Cam. Very unusual. I'm not sure if that was deliberate or whether it was a fortuitous accident, but Twin Cam has somehow flipped Trespass's car over, which is generous for round 1 considering Twin Cam is 3rd place in the P2 class.
Yeah,
there is an incredibly brief rule book linked to the retro cup this time, but I don't think there was anything in there about rescuing teammates. So great to see that team play already coming in on lap 9 of round 1 of this 7-round championship.
That was yeah. Do you know what though? We are watching a wonderful endurance race here, and in terms of a Spirit of Endurance award or something like that, Twin Cam certainly is an early contender there. That was very sporting indeed to get Trespasser back on his feet, so to speak. Looks like he's getting lapped by one of the P1 cars. It looks slightly askew, but that road car looks like it's going to continue on for now. As we see 2 of the road cars, and we've got Twin Cam on screen now. He's only a second or so ahead by the look of it of Redman as well. So, of course, as we said, it's the first round of the championship. He was in a very good place in the category, but now he is right in a fight for the last podium spot in Prototype 2.
But Twin Cam and Rayman are teammates, and they are in the same class. So it'll be interesting to see how Rayman approaches that one.
With caution, hopefully.
Looks like
Perfect.
Rayman has gone ahead.
Absolutely. I'm wondering whether or not now that the timing screen is catching up. I think, yeah, Twin Cam looks like he's fallen about 6 seconds behind Rayman, unfortunately. But as I say, great work from that driver, keeping everybody, or as many people as possible, in the race with his martini-clad machine.
A lot of damage on that, though.
I was just going to say, Adam, this is a complete race of attrition. Every car we seem to pan to, there is not a straight panel on one. I think Thamuli is the only one with a straight-looking car. The rest have got damage on the wings, fenders, rear bumpers. It's warfare out there. It's not racing.
As far as I'm aware, the damage to bodywork doesn't necessarily affect aerodynamics, but the suspension and other damage definitely does.
So there we go. We're hearing that Twin Cam is now in the pits, unfortunately, with damage. You can see that right front is very much askew, so he'll be rejoining the race after repairs. But we're 10 laps in now, and Thamuli is 28.8 seconds ahead of Unite in the Prototype 1 class and overall honours, with Zed Matty 14 and Roni, the first 4 cars, all in our Premier category here in the Retro Cup. And then after that, it's Maserati in 5th, first of our Prototype 2 runners, just over 3 seconds ahead of Lorenzo. That gap has actually closed considerably as the 2 of them have been passing through a number of the Group 5 and road car traffic there. So really good work from Lorenzo these last few laps, keeping that hope of victory going so far. In 7th position overall and first in Group 5, it is Tim DC. So a really good run in the Mustang for him. One of the few Mustangs that we've seen so far stay out of trouble. I say that touching wood, as hopefully I haven't put the curse of the commentator on him. Meanwhile, Donald still leads the road category down in 20th. So really consistent from Donald so far.
It does seem like Tim DC's car has been bitten by a shark on that front right. The entire fender's gone, but it seems to be driving okay.
Yeah,
Also
good
nice
point.
to see that we have got battles in the top of each of these classes. We've got a battle for P3 in Prototype 1, which is hotting up, and battles throughout the top of each class. So nice to see. But Thamuli, star of the show, that is an unbelievable lead so early on.
But we've
32
seen so many
seconds.
times these drivers just drop it on their own, making mistakes. So it's not out of the question that could happen. You hope it doesn't, but not over yet.
No, 31 runners still in this. That's a lot, and the track is not very wide at places, and there's not much runoff, as we've seen. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Adam.
One of the narratives I've actually just been keeping an eye on is all the way back from lap 1. I believe it was Matty actually spun from second place in what the rather vibrant coloured pink machine, and he's recovered all the way to third, I believe. Actually, just looking at this now in his class, which is a monumental climb back up. But also speaks to some of the incidents we've had over the first 12 laps, let's say.
I think Roni also had an issue, but we seem to be having a battle for class here.
We've got Tamas and Benzin side by side in the Group 5 category for what looks like 18th overall, and he's through. Great move there. Clean racing is always a bit of a premium sometimes with these cars that are so challenging to drive, but the two of these managing to do it perfectly as they head through the sweeping turns here at Westhill. Brilliant work from both.
This isn't over yet, yo. Several places to overtake coming up now as we head into turns 12 and 13 here. Can Benzin get back on that rear bumper? There he is into the braking zone, getting really up close to the bumper there of Tamas. I think he might just have this sorted, but watch for that draft down the start-finish straight and into turn 1. There could be more action on the way.
Yeah, ooh, big slide there from Benzin on the exit, but you can see, as you were mentioning, Kieran, that Benzin really nice on the brakes into the slower corners. It looks like this one is far from over. I think it's the high-speed areas where we see Tamas a little bit more comfortable, perhaps, but as they get onto the brakes and the car is squirrely on deceleration, don't count out Benzin here.
I wonder if there's some damage to Benzin's car, or if that's just pure pace.
With these cars, I'm almost certainly convinced yeah, we're hearing a little bit of damage, possibly to the right rear toe link of Benzin's car, so that might well be killing him in a straight line a little bit. What will also kill him is getting stuck behind one of the road cars into this complex here, behind Donald, the class leader in the road category. So of course, one of the key things here, Donald's having his own race, and he is doing so exceptionally well. Moves out the way at the first possible opportunity to allow Benzin past. So that's interesting to see, though, that we've got 18th, and that's Mies off again in 14th at the time. So again, another difficult one there for Mies. But it's interesting to note that between 18th and 19th, we have now got pretty much a full lap where Benzin has just lapped Donald as well. So interesting to see the pace differential play out with all the different classes this early on.
It does appear that Mies is using VR as well, which I respect massively there.
Yeah, Mika always streaming his onboard for us, and yeah, in a car this fast and on a track this undulating, that's going to be an uncomfortable experience, but properly immersive for sure.
Absolutely. I hope he took his anti-sickness medication. I'm not sure whether they had that at the time of these cars, but that is some view from Mies. Beautifully driven as well, going over the overpass there, down into the Mies apologies, going into the tight turn 15, opening the taps to cross the start-finish line again and overtake one of the other road cars. But yeah, we're seeing plenty of action now. It looks like
grass being kicked up there.
Yeah, people still pushing exceptionally hard. I think that was Hiwatt and Gabor in the Group 5 class. Yeah, they've changed places. Gabor has now got past. So we are seeing, especially in Group 5, so as ever, we've got the prototypes which are exceptionally challenging to drive, but these, the GT or the road car derived classes, as always, bringing the action here at Westhill.
Yeah, Gabba's now P10 overall and P2 in classes. He tries to hunt down Tim DC. As we've got again just awkwardness around the other. Oh, there's a quick spin there as we try to overtake the traffic. Nearly taking out one of the road category cars there.
That would have been Steve that he would have taken out, and it's important that because Stiefler and Majesta are very close together. Look at them. The fourth place in the road class, Stephen Martin P22. Stiefler's in 21st, just going over start finish now, and Majesta is only just up the road. So there is a fight for pretty much P2 in the road class. The road class, obviously being the slowest class, they are able to stick closer together to one another visually, so it's somewhat easier to keep track of for us lot here.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think as well, was that Rayman? So that was was the car that was in third in Prototype 2. So yeah, even these cars and drivers that are performing exceptionally well so far, as the race wears on, it becomes difficult. The arms get tired, the concentration falls ever so slightly, and then all of a sudden, a moment like that, and you lose significant amounts of time.
Like this, Zero does exactly the same thing down in P13 overall and P5 in the Prototype 2 class. Those cars look tricky to drive, I won't lie.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think that all the cars have their different nuances, but yeah, I'm certainly glad I'm standing in the booth here rather than behind the wheel.
Yeah, I had a bit of a dabble with those with the cars in the over the weekend, and that P2 car is a strange thing to drive. It looks like it just had loads of downforce, but the actual feel of it, I wouldn't describe it as grippy in the corners.
As we
The
see
name
magic.
of this.
Sorry.
Sorry there, Rob. I was just saying that the name of this entire championship is it's all about risk management. With cars like this, with design philosophies like this and of their time, it's 90 minutes of risk management. Where can I overtake the slower cars? What's the safest place to do so? How can I keep those tyres in the window? How can I keep my fuel on target? There's so much to think about as a driver, particularly when you're trying to wrestle with these beasts of cars.
Absolutely. Risk management, though, not the aim of the game for Steve Martin and Stiefler there, 20th and 21st overall, but battling for the final podium position at the moment within the road category. Absolutely brilliant move, ballsy stuff there from Steve. Brilliant work by both, though, keeping their noses clean, living to fight another day.
Up to P3 then in the road class for Steve. That'll be nice if he can keep hold of it, but Stiefler will be motivated, let's say, to catch back up and get past. Oh, as we've got a prototype on the case, and that's a round for Stiefler. Need to work out who that was. Who's just come in there? I think it was Gabba.
Gabba, yeah, scoop and run from Gabba there, just picking him up from the rear and spinning him round and then getting himself on his merry way, trying to minimise the lost time. But this is the danger, once again, that risk management. Where can you overtake safely? Gabba there, just, obviously nothing intentional there, but just being caught out by the different braking zones, the different downforce packages on both of those vehicles, two completely different classes, of course.
We had a chat around the paddock in the pre-race, and I believe that Stiefler is the defending road class champion, so that's catastrophic for him as well.
Yeah, such a shame for Stiefler through no fault of his own there, losing out and unfortunately losing quite a lot of time on third in class there. Yeah, looking at what happened, I think it's a classic case of misjudging it just in the multi-class environment. So yeah, really unlucky there from everybody involved.
Because that Jägermeister car looks amazing as well.
I was just going to say that, yeah, he might have just been quite unfortunate in that regard, but one of the best liveries running on the grid right now, that Jägermeister livery, classic, needs to come back.
Absolutely, and I think it's a good-looking car amongst a field of good-looking cars as well. Some of these liveries just look absolutely outstanding. Riding on board now with Unite, P2 overall, and indeed in our top Prototype 1 category. Looks like he's following one of the Group 5 cars going into turns 5, 6 and 7 perhaps. But yeah, really, and good illustration of the oversteer there, but the power differential between the two classes evident here as he's going through the sweepers. But Thimuli still leads by 37 seconds ahead of him, but and it's only a 3.5 second gap to Matty in third. So Unite here really does need to keep the pressure on and the power going through to those rear wheels. But yeah, he's doing a great job at the moment.
Traffic management key for him as well. Obviously, without that's such a small gap for this race, he cannot afford to lose any time when trying to pass people. But also, he has to be very careful to pass people. He doesn't have an accident or, like we saw earlier, crash into them, take them out.
Thimuli's just set the fastest lap overall, 1:57 dead. And well, when we're watching Unite on board, it's hard to imagine how anybody can go any faster. But Thimuli is, in fact, going faster. As Unite goes over start-finish to set a 2:81. That is 3 seconds slower than Thimuli is lapping. That's just crazy.
Traffic there, just getting out of the way as well.
Yeah, this pace from Thamuli is just a joy to behold. I think he's in a class of one at the moment. Obviously, he's got to keep it going, but he's really putting himself in a good position as we see yet more multi-class endurance racing action. We've got 3 classes all in one shot there with one of the prototype classes, Group 5 and Road, but all of them keeping their noses clean. A little bit of a squirrel there from one of the prototype 2 cars, it looked like, as he was going under braking, but riding on board with Steve Martin now from P21, and indeed third in class at the moment. He's it almost looks sedate. I don't want to be rude, but when you look at the road car class on the onboard, it just looks like a complete different kettle of fish, doesn't it? Still a challenge in its own right, mostly because actually the racing is so close, because the skill level of these drivers, of course, exceptionally high, but also because they're, and that's P2 ahead. It's really close between Steve and Mad Jester for P2. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not this forward movement from Martin can continue now that he's not having to worry about Stiefler and that battle for third.
Really tough position for that prototype we saw earlier. They seemed to come into a corner and there was a Group 5 trying to overtake a road car, and they just had to wait for a gap to appear after the corner. They couldn't do anything.
You say that it's sedate, but at many occasions so far in this race, it's been a bit terrifying with the faster cars flying past and sometimes flying into them.
That is the exceptional point, yes.
Yeah. I don't know which class I'd prefer to be in.
I was going to say sedate as in the same kind of sedate in the way that a sleeping tiger is quite sedate. It's until it wakes up and then it becomes quite a big problem for you. It's the same with the road car class. I mean, it's believed to be a...
hello.
That was a
big
huge
accident
accident happening in the background. I'll stop talking about tigers. Who was that?
I'm not sure. We've got a car airborne and going over what looks to be the fencing. Hamani, unfortunately, he's gone off track there, and he is indeed in one of the spectator areas. Luckily, everybody seems to have cleared away. And he's going to have to try and bash his way through the catch fencing to try and get back onto the track. But yeah, Hamani bringing the action airborne style here at Westhill.
That's a very sad-looking car.
It's so easy to drop a wheel on the right-hand side, and it's just so bumpy coming into that section that if you are out too wide as you hit one of the bumps, you're just a passenger, and there is no grip to slow down. It's off camber all the way down a hill, super dangerous, but in keeping with the times of these cars.
Yeah, very much so. It looks like the shocks on the left-hand side we're hearing from the pit lane are completely shot, so you will have to come, as you would probably expect after an accident of that magnitude, to come into the pit lane to make some serious repairs. But he
telegraphed when they were going to come in, though.
He's elected to carry on, which is an interesting strategic call there.
Well, it's going to bite him in the bum immediately. There we go.
Yeah, it has, absolutely. And it looks like, was that... I'm trying to say, that was Stiefler going past, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah,
it's not the decision I would have made.
No,
that's a very good point. But yeah, Stiefler here, 21st. But all of a sudden, I know that he's lost a lot of time, but Stiefler's back up to P4 in the class. So, you know, he had that incident earlier on with one of the Group 5 cars, but he just needs to keep his nose clean and realise that he's only 6 seconds away from the podium still. His pace was good enough beforehand, and with Mad Jester and Steve Martin, only 0.7 of a second between them, very much likely that he's going to get back into this one soon enough.
So Mad Jester described themselves as they can be fast but also inconsistent and prone to crashing. So you hope that doesn't happen sitting in P2 there, but it's something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, absolutely. The resplendent bright orange with the black pinstripe or black central stripes in this machine. And as you can see from the drifting, he is driving that one very hard, nearly dipping a wheel on the grass. But yeah, a good performance so far from Mad Jester, 17 seconds off the class lead. And just starting, I think, so he's holding steady with Steve Martin, but Steve is right there. And as soon as he gets a sniff of that slipstream, it's going to be really, really entertaining action. And indeed, Steve has got the run. As we follow now on the rear on board from Mad Jester, Steve's going to go round to the right. Is that the race leader as well? I think we've got Thamuli behind. So we've got two... Oh my goodness me, this is going to be carnage waiting to happen. We've got... I think that was the prototype going around the outside of Steve and then diving down the other end, weaving between. Fantastic work from Thamuli to weave between, battling road car. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous to watch.
Fortunately for him, he had the time to wait. He's got that 40-second gap, so he didn't have to go for it.
Oh no, it's going to be another case of Group 5 scooping a contender in the road category. but so we got Nielsen there. But I think he's going to hold station for a little bit longer, get past. We're hearing as well that Steve was very, very pragmatic there. Did lift off ever so slightly when he realised it was the race leader and made sure that no one had any serious incidents. So great driving there. He knows it's a long race. We're not even at the halfway mark, and he knows that as long as he doesn't turn in, and we've got Hermani there with the collapsed suspension, and well, his hopes are collapsing quite rapidly, unfortunately, here today.
Another
That car
prototype
needs to
coming
go
here.
into a pit lane
think that's Unite.
immediately. Hopefully.
Definitely. He was doing that just in front of Unite, as you mentioned there, Sears. So all the leading group I say group, but the leading cars within Prototype 1, all seeing things happening in front of them that are not going to calm their nerves at all here.
No, we obviously, Famuli's got that gap, but Unite does not. It's only 4 seconds, so he has to make sure he's making these moves through traffic to try and build that gap. 3 seconds now.
Yeah,
I
Matey's
mentioned
catching
it
him.
before. I mentioned it before, but the comeback from Matty from spinning at turn 1, lap 1 to now running third in class is phenomenal recovery in 19 laps. As we have a very sad looking Chimera powered by Hermani back in the pits there. Probably going to be in there a little bit of time getting everything repaired and back up to running speed.
I remember, I think Rody had an incident in that first lap as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did indeed.
A lot of people had incidents.
Yeah, but Roni only 7.5 seconds away from the podium. I think this battle for P2 is going to become rather exciting as we continue through this one. And, you know, there you go, Matty last at turn 1 all the way up to P3 overall. So you can see quite how monumental an effort and how good a drive this has been from Matty as he tries to hunt down Unite for P2 overall. But we ride up on board with the imperious Famuli going over the overpass at turns 14 and 15, making his way down to start lap 20 of this one. It's an absolutely gorgeous sight to watch. The car looks just a different level of smooth, considering we know how hard they are to drive. And Famuli he's impressing me ever so much, and I think he has what I would consider to be my favourite livery of the race so far.
Now, we heard Famuli had the fastest lap of the race earlier. I'm not sure if Matty's getting anywhere close to that or not, but it'd be definitely interesting to find that information out.
Interesting look though, Matty is in P2 and Roni is up to 3rd. Unite now in the 4th position. So I don't know whether or not we've had an incident off camera for Unite, but Matty and Roni up into the podium spot. Unite unfortunately losing out there. We didn't see what happened, but he certainly lost quite a bit of time.
Looks like some damage to that front left there. And you'd hope that was an accident and not an incident between Matty and Unite.
Yeah, absolutely. They were far enough away that unless Unite had a problem in the first place, I wouldn't anticipate it. But to answer your previous question, we've just had Chris in our ear. Matty's about half a second off on that last lap from Famuli, so a very fast pace, faster than everybody else was seeing, but unfortunately for Matty, not quite matching the pace of Famuli.
Although he has now been released, so you wonder if that might come down at all.
Potentially, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. So that's a 45-second gap for Matty to shoot down. It's a lot. We've got 25 laps to go, or 26 laps to go. So it's certainly a good margin per lap. But on a nearly 2-minute lap, anything's possible here at Westhill. So yeah, we're going to wait and see.
Some visual damage on the front left as well. It looks like it might be dragging on the floor potentially. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. See if that gets any worse.
Lorenzo is leading his class at the moment, the P2 class, as he weaves his way through some traffic. The series organizer, don't forget, so doing a good job to put everything together, orchestrate everything, talk to all the drivers, get everything ready, and deliver on the day. That is superb so far from him. But
Very
P2
Italian
up to
flag there.
So we're hearing that Unite dropped to Will on his own just before turn 9, which is unfortunately what cost him. And he is now 4 seconds off the podium, but about 10 seconds off that P2 that he was occupying. So that gap's just inverted, but with Unite's pace, it's still very possible. And we've got Stiefler catching Steve as well, and Roni's down into 4th. We've got lots going on. Stiefler deep into the slipstream on Steve. And here we go. We've got Stiefler running out slightly wider than Steve, but coming down into the next braking zone. Looks like the sweepers of turns 10 and 11. We've got another prototype behind. Very squirrely. Roni's behind in P4, but can Stiefler get close enough into the deep braking zone for turn 12? It doesn't quite look like it, but Roni is very well behind. I think he's about to go straight on at turn 12. All the action on that part of the track. Yeah,
Kept it out of the wall there, but
Roney's left front shock has unfortunately collapsed as well. We're seeing that quite a lot here. Obviously, with where people are hitting the wall, you get some consistent damage, but unfortunately for Roney, a very damaged machine, a very bright green damaged machine as we head down towards the start-finish. It'll be interesting to see whether he elects to pit
he's
or whether
moving
he's
across
going
the
to
left, so I'd
continue.
assume so, yeah.
The
Very
battle
good.
between these two is not over though. Stiefler is still catching Martin now as he sort of heads down into turns 1 and 2. Heavy under the braking now. Can he kind of close that gap back up again? Just trying to have a look there on the timing tower, but it can't be more than a second separating them. Yeah, 0.84 seconds separating the two of them. Obviously, this is the battle now for 3rd and 4th in class now, as once again we get some of the high classes overtaking there. This is not going anywhere. I think this will continue for the remaining 25 laps.
Yeah, completely. And we see Lorenzo going past there at a great point, not only for him, but also to avoid breaking this battle up any further. Unfortunately, a little bit of time lost from Stiefler compared to Steve coming through, or with that faster traffic coming through, but it's only a matter of time. And speaking of masterclasses in traffic, Famuli once again going past. Oh my goodness!
Spoke too soon.
Sorry, that's me. I do apologise. I got the two cars mixed up. It won't be the first time and it won't be the last. But a big incident for Mies. And very well avoided there from the road class car as well. But unfortunately for Mies.
I was just going to say they're running with door number 13, and it is unlucky for him indeed, but needs to get his head down now, rebuild that rhythm, rebuild that consistency, and not try and lose it under the power there as he now gets his foot back to the floor, rewarms those tyres up and settles back into his race. But lucky to not come away with more damage there, particularly with the amount of furniture around the track.
Unite has retired from the race. He's allowed to rejoin, I think, but yeah, he's out. So we have had a huge rate of attrition here, but you know that this is sort of setting the stage for the drivers. They need to approach the race maybe with a little bit more caution than they have done, because we have lost 15 cars.
Absolutely.
Or in fact, 14 cars.
Also hearing that Redman is in the pits, whether that's for repairs or for fuel, we will find out. But as you saw, both for fuel and repairs. But as you can see as well from the previous shot, Famuli in still very comfortable position. Apologies for scaring everybody. The car number is indeed different. It's 69 instead of 13. Making his way down to where some of the cars have been getting unstuck into turn 12. But looking, the picture of precision and poise at the moment is Famuli, as he's got one of the Prototype 2 cars behind. Speaking of Prototype 2 cars, Lorenzo is now up to 3rd overall, so we're going to be sitting on the overall podium at the moment, but Maserati 5.6 seconds back. It's still very close between them.
Yeah,
I mentioned it very briefly. I'm sorry, so I mentioned it briefly with Mies when we saw him spinning there, that consistency and the rhythm are the words of the day with this kind of racing here, and Famuli, Lorenzo, and Donald as well, doing that consistent rhythm and flowing through their race and just running their race specifically.
Seeing there that Williams and Benzin have swapped positions. Benzin going up to, I think that would be 6th in class. And then we've got Mies again off, having another incident, unfortunately, in that exceptionally fast Prototype 1 vehicle. Another one for Mies, sadly.
Yeah, he's having some time of it, isn't he?
He's struggling with his tyres. He
again.
needs to be way calmer than he's being. His tyres are overheating, and he's just not He's not driving to the car. Just too much power being put down through those huge rear wheels, but just needs to coax that car around, get a fresh set of tyres, and carry on.
That was a
The tyres are
impact with that
overheating.
tyre sack as well.
I was just saying the tyres are overheating, but I think the driver might be overheating as well. I think he just needs to take a minute, get it back to the pits, get new tyres on, and just try and take a breath and just resettle back in. Halfway through this race, there's plenty of time to make up these spaces.
Definitely exceptional insight there from you guys, thinking into the drivers and the tyres. Mies there waiting for a gap in the traffic, getting across the track well to recover, but it's no less scary watching his onboard, seeing everybody streaming past at a rate of knots. Absolutely wonderful pictures from the onboard of Mies there as well.
One other thing to note, with these retro cars, they have retro clutches, so all this stop-starting could be damaging that clutch and making it slip and lose top speed.
Yeah, exceptional point as well from you there, Sears. The The classic machinery will have all the foibles of everything that we know and love from classic cars. Mies there getting back past, starting to get up to speed on Stiefler, who is third in the category. He's got past Martin, actually, looking at that, leading that all in third by 2 seconds. So we've got Thamuli now at the halfway point of this race. We're 23 laps in, 23 to go. Thamuli leads this one by 57 seconds, a considerable margin ahead of Matty, second in Prototype 1 and overall. We've got Lorenzo in third overall, but first in the Prototype 2 class. But we have got a brilliant battle here for the lead in Group 5. Gabba right behind Tim DC in the two sister cars in the Fords. Is this going to be a case of slipstreaming past, or are we going to see something a little bit more?
Well, it's so tight in Sector 2, I don't know if there's going to be any real space to overtake. As I say that right now, Gabba is going for it on the inside. Incredible move. I can't believe he's pulled that off. Wow. Phenomenal work by Gabba.
Absolutely brilliant stuff there. Seeing the run on the inside as he passes over the crest through what must be a flat-out corner, taking advantage of an absolutely minute gap to then make the pass and move himself up. That was absolutely incredible there.
Yeah, I'm not sure where track limits are, but he certainly found a gap and he made it work. I'm really impressed with that.
I feel like he made that gap happen. I don't think there was a gap, was there? It's a pretty fast section and brave to go too wide, and he's done it. Oh, he's pitting. He's in.
Oh, interesting. So just over the halfway mark.
They both have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh. So whether they're electing to, obviously they've split at this point, we're just over halfway. So they're both damaged and electing to pit and taking tyres but no fuel. So interesting, the tyre wear clearly a bit of a factor here, but also if you're damaged and you've got the time, I suppose changing the set of boots is no bad thing. But yeah, that was a monumental battle between them, but unfortunately both of them immediately having to sacrifice track position and time. Looking at where the next car in the Group 5 class is, that is Hiwatt in 11th overall, but that looks to be about a 50-second gap. So well, then when they come out, it'll be very interesting to see where they sit. So Hiwatt's onto the main straight, so that's going to be interesting. I think, yeah, they're going to rejoin. So it's about half the length of the main straight here at Westhill. Tim was in the pit lane for Gabba, for longer than Gabba.
Long stationary time for Tim there. Stopped for a lot longer, so potentially had more damage to repair on the car. Obviously, in Need for Speed, damage takes a different length of time to repair depending on how much you've got of it, and Tim clearly with more.
Now, you wonder if that's unplanned, because you'd think if they'd planned that out, they would have gone with less fuel on the start and refueled a little bit in that pit stop, just to try and get that higher speed and a better lap time. But obviously, they both had to do tyres but no fuel, so I assume that they've gone out with full fuel load.
It takes time to fill fuel in Live for Speed, so you can't do everything at the same time. So that was probably one of the considerations. It's one thing at once. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just depends how much the fuel actually affects these cars.
Definitely, is key. Just because the track position's key there, obviously, because Gabba did get the overtake and then got his first choice of the pit. And if you watch as they came in, Tim actually had to stumble around Gabba, so he didn't drive into him in the pit lane. He had to skirt around him, which cost him more time, which ultimately may have been the difference with Hiwatt there as well.
I'm not convinced there's an actual speed limit in that pit lane as well. So Tim might have come in, gone on the brakes, and realised he didn't have time to stop.
Absolutely, and we've been told that Tim had a little extra corner of damage. Williams there with a spin, another one of the Fords hitting trouble, unfortunately. Something to bear in mind that Tim did only come out about half a second ahead of Hiwatt. That gap has extended a little bit now to 2 seconds. But the net result of that is that Gabor leads in Group 5 ahead of Tim DC by what looks to be about 10 seconds or so, with Hiwatt only 2 seconds further back, third in the category. So really, really fast frenetic racing. But we've also got on the screen now what looks to be a great battle for Prototype 2 and third overall. So Maserati looks like he's right behind Lorenzo. This is going to be an absolute blockbuster. It's been brewing up for a while. Lorenzo got past earlier, but Maserati just slowly eking his way back up, and now it's time for him to try and make a move.
Yeah, Maserati is a super talented South American driver, driving for the Team America team. And let's see what he can do. I just wanted to add a bit of information on the Gabba Tim DC scenario. Gabba, that was his second pit stop. Everyone else in that class just the one stop. So Gabba is in full control of that class.
Yeah,
Pace
really good point.
that he's got
That's
must be
amazing.
insane.
Yeah, that's really impressive from Gabba. Maserati and Lorenzo here going through turns 10 and 11, I believe. The nice, fast, sweeping corners where we've seen some excellent action so far. I might have been completely wrong about that, actually. No,
I just want to say the throttle was pinned the whole way through that section with Maserati. Not a moment of lift through it. He's right on the tail now of Lorenzo. Lorenzo acting all defensive in his positions there, trying to cover off all the A-boxes. Maserati looking left and right as he settles into the back now. But I'm sure what he'll do is he'll draft him down the straight.
Brilliant stuff. But yeah, Maserati, absolutely. He looked fantastic on the brakes coming into turn 12 as well. So he's got absolute commitment through the fast stuff in under brake on the accelerator. Oh, as I say that,
he's a big slide. Can he hold it?
What a catch! That is an absolutely amazing save there from Maserati. Pitches it in on the rears, and unfortunately for him, the car started to skew wide. But catching it just as it hits the apex, he has lost a considerable amount of time there. Actually, for Maserati, he's still pointing in the right direction with what appears to be no ill effects to the car. That is a little bit of breathing room for Lorenzo. That might make a massive difference, at least for the next few laps. Maserati now stuck, well, by the look of it, behind one. Oh, no, he's not stuck at all. He's just gone round the outside behind, or now ahead of Stiefler. Absolutely brilliant stuff there. Wow,
Not hanging
that
about
was
at all, is he?
frenetic.
Not hanging about one bit. He's taking every single gap he can get.
Brilliant stuff. Maserati here going past second in the road category, I believe. Mad Jester there. So now he's got past that traffic. It's eyes down, calm down. Look at the 2 second gap to third place, and just breathe, take a reset, and see where he can go.
That's something that onboard showed us. Something that onboard showed us is that the track here is denoted by yellow lines. So that gap that Gabba made, where he went potentially off the track into a lay-by to make that move, the regulations specify the white lines are the track limit. So that might be a loophole.
Oh, we've got
or that
Gabba
might
around.
not be enforced.
Big off there. No, it wasn't Gabba, sorry. That would have been Twin Cam, I believe, in one of the Prototype 2s potentially. But yeah, Gabba's got past in the Group 5, but Twin Cam there just lighting it up on with one of the wheels dipped onto the grass, and unfortunately for him, a big loop round. It was a 5 second gap between him and Redman for third in Prototype 2, so it's going to be really interesting to see what he's lost there. And there you can see it is now a visual gap between Redman in fourth place in the class and Twin Cam in third, but they do indeed have Gabor between them, I believe still. So
Gabba's gone.
There you go, Gabba's gone through as well now. So it's wow, that's crucial for one. And then we see some of the bollards flying behind the race leader there. In fact, we've got plenty of action all on the same part of the track. I think
that was Redman, and he's lost time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roney came through, and Redman was just slightly not placed where he wanted to be on the road, and as a result had a bit of a wiggle. This is a lot of action in this race. This has been pretty intense, and the laps are flying away from us here, gents. We've been racing for around about coming up to an hour now.
Yeah, this is just exceptional, and I'm quite glad that while I look at things flying across the screen, you guys can tidy it all up and tell everyone what's happening. This is absolutely brilliant action for round 1 of the Retro Cup.
For this battle we're anticipating between Twin Cam and Redman for third in Prototype 2, they are teammates in Born to Race, so you would assume no one's going to do anything silly here, but something to keep an eye on anyway.
Yeah, really good point. They're Born to Race teammates there, Twin Cam and Redman. But at the end of the day, you're battling for third place in your category, and I know it's only round 1 of a long championship season ahead, but you want to maximise every single point if you can. Twin Cam pushing hard, ever so slightly on the drift through turn 4 in the middle part of the chicane there. You can tell that he's not hanging around.
we've got some great battles brewing now. I was actually just going to mention it there as we cut to Lorenzo now leading his category by 2.1 seconds ahead of Maserati before. Obviously, we caught the tail end of that battle with that fantastic save by him just before, but now he has one of the road class cars between him now as he just navigates. Oh, goes for the inside there, and that car just moving over to the apex, right up the bumper of them there, and now he moves past Trespasser now onto the straight. So now no cars between Lorenzo and Maserati, but there Trespasser almost becoming a feature on the front scoop of Maserati's Wessex car there as we now head with Thamuli. Thamuli there just trying to navigate traffic through Sector 2. Once again, his lead continues to remain quite stable at 28.6 seconds, just in a class of his own at the moment. I've not seen him make a single mistake yet, but that doesn't mean someone else won't and then interrupt it for him. As you can see, their car's running wide as he heads into this quite complex section just to finish off the lap and head down to start lap 29 of 46.
Getting 2 cars through that zone there is very brave because it's very, very tight. So trying to fit a prototype and a road car next to each other, it's doable. Clearly, they've just done it, but I wouldn't want to do it.
So I think that lead for Thamuli has come down quite considerably off camera, actually. So it was at one point all the way up to 45 or 50 seconds. So apologies for missing that one.
Yeah, it does show a stop.
There we go.
Apologies.
So yes,
I assume
Thamuli
that's
has
why.
taken the first stop, or the stop for his race. Of course, no mandatory pit stops in this one, but obviously when you've got a margin like that, taking tyres and fuel is no bad thing. Fresh rubber, fresh grip. And Lorenzo has indeed done the same, so that's where you see the 22-second gap between he and Maserati at the head of Prototype 2. So our 2 leaders in the top 2 classes have both elected to take a stop and add fuel and tyres to their vehicles. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that is the correct play. At the moment, it's from Thamuli looking pretty good regardless with the 27-second lead. But
I think that must be planned for Thamuli because the fuel tank in that Prototype 1 car is massive. So if he's had to take fuel, he's planned that stop in and gone with less fuel on the start.
Could explain his pace. And speaking of pace, Stiefler is closing in on Majesta again for P2 overall. The lead in the road class is only 13 seconds between all 3 of them, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, Donald has been out front in the road category for the entirety of the race thus far, but as you say, it's far from a done deal. Majesta has been pretty much the person in waiting throughout the race. But Stiefler, that's a big hit onto the wall with Stiefler there, as we're about to say that he's doing well in 3rd place. Hopefully not too much damage there to the Porsche. But yeah, that battle for 3rd has been frenetic all the way through, but hasn't really cost them relative to Donald and Jester, so really impressive stuff.
Not too much time lost there. Not too much time lost there, but once again, that probably will have woke Stiefler up a little bit, that rhythm being unsettled there as he now keeps his foot planted through the remainder of Sector 2 as he heads into turns, I believe towards the end of the track there, turns 12 and 13 and 14 now.
Really good stuff there. I'm assuming that Stiefler will have Code Brown in his long johns there, but he's still not far at all behind Mad Jester. So it hasn't cost him, as you say there, Kieran. So it's going to be really interesting now. He's 2 and a bit seconds behind, but the pace is looking frenetic as we see one of the Group 5 cars looking to come through on the straight.
In this shot, you can see all 3 of those cars that are going to be battling for P2. You've got Mad Jester, Stiefler, and Martin as well in the white Porsche. Just at the right, be at the back of the shot, you should see him. There you go, there he is.
Absolutely, and at the start of that static shot, you also saw Donald go through. Beautiful camera work there, seeing all of the road category contenders, line astern, so to speak. Really great work there.
That gap's come down again. I just wanted to highlight it there. The gap between Donald and Manchester, I believe it was about 12 seconds. It's now 9.9.
Oh,
so
sorry to interrupt. We've had a big
traffic.
crash here in the road class. 136 and Jam for the Pure Moto team having a coming together just as they head into the outfield. Sorry to cut across you there, Kieran.
Yeah, I saw those gaps were closing. I didn't realise it was quite that close.
Yeah, absolutely. That class is proving to be, as ever, sometimes the slower cars will produce the best racing, and well, it's proving to be very true today. Everything else has been fantastic to watch as well, but really awesome action so far. Ooh, one of the Group 5 cars, Tim DC, getting exceptionally squirrely there. And then we've got Matty second overall in the pink car, trying to come through all of them. I think we saw a touch for the road car as well, but Matty
On the
pushing
grass
hard
there
in the
as well.
traffic. He's lost a little bit of time to Thamuli since we've seen the pit stop from the race leader, but 34 seconds the gap. But you wouldn't think about it looking at him. Absolutely pinned throughout the fast stuff here.
Matty's car, I
Matty-
think, is a lawnmower here. He is just getting on the grass all the way through that tight, twisty section.
He's attacking every apex, every entry to every corner. He's taking all of the road and then some, using all of the margin he can to try and catch up to Thamuli. It'd be interesting to see what the heart rate is of Thamuli versus Matty here in terms of just how they're balancing their race. Thamuli looks kind of controlled, measured. Matty looks frantic as he just tries to close that gap of 35 seconds.
And here we go.
Matty's pitting.
Matty gets into the pits now, so electing to do a similar strategy by the look of it to Thamuli, which makes the race leader's call even better, because obviously all the time he lost in that pit stop will be made up again for tyres and fuel for Matty as well.
See if any of that damage gets repaired or not. See if there's any scraping if he waits for, or if that just goes straight back out.
So not bothering with the damage there we're hearing. So Matty happy enough with the car as it is, but electing to put fresh boots and filling it up with a tank of fuel. So should be good for Matty, obviously with a considerable margin over Roney. Okay, so Roney we're hearing has just overtaken the race leader and unlapped himself. So Thamuli going very well, but Roney finding a big lick of pace here as we head towards the later stages. So great stuff from Roney.
Potentially
Could be a
lower
touch
fuel.
of-
Oh, he's straight back through.
And he's led him back through. I've always been proven wrong on many occasions, and that's just another one to add to the list.
I was just going to say, could be a touch of just a bit of management there from Thamuli, but a moment as you and myself there, Rob, we were about to say a potential idea for what Thamuli was thinking. He's proved us both wrong there, and he goes, "No, I'm driving flat out. I want to win this race as quickly as possible."
Absolutely.
Here's the battle for P2
Oh, this could
in road.
get really interesting here.
Yeah, Madjester and Madjester and Stiefler coming into what looks coming through the cut through there, and it's going to be very close indeed. Stiefler hard on the brakes. We've got Maserati right behind him from third overall, who might well break up this battle. In fact, no, it's perfectly timed traffic there for the two of these. Can Stiefler get back through? He looks like he's going to sit deep in the slipstream going through the sweepers.
Both of them clipped the inside apex there of turn 7 as they dived into the back straight of sector 2. Stiefler just getting a slightly interesting angle and running wide into that wide wall there. I said the magnetic wall that Adam Sears keeps referencing there, claiming another victim as Stiefler needs to get his head down, control his breathing and his pace, and settle back in and find that oh so important rhythm again as he tries to hunt down Madjester and reclose that gap.
Not for the first time there, Stiefler into that particular wall. So, yeah, he needs to, as you say, keep it calm. He needs to especially realise that Steve Martin is only 3 seconds behind. So, while he was looking forward and hoping to get to second place in the category, he's also at risk of losing his podium and dropping all the way down to P4.
I think part of the reason for that wall here is the track lulls into false security. You go through that. There's a crash here.
Sorry,
I
Adam,
think
big
that's
moment for
access.
Twin Cam there. He seems to have had a bit of a moment heading into there. Bit of furniture scattered on the track and some damage to the front, left and right to Twin Cam.
Yeah, he collected Magic as well as part of that incident. Magic went into him and has managed to keep going again. As we're hearing, Mies is having yet more trouble. Unfortunately, that car just not in a good way at all. That's not going to feel good in VR, is it? So keep going, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're over halfway.
It's now a case of getting to the end for Mies. It's a matter of pride. So, yeah, let's see whether Mies can make it to the end. We really hope he can. Stiefler now on the screen. Looks like he's gained a little bit of time back on Madjester, but I think it's just a case of keeping it clean, pushing through, and hopefully he can continue. Just looking at the lead gap overall now, now that Matty has also pitted, Matty came out and Thamuli is now over 1 minute ahead of the nearest car on the track. So the imperious form for Thamuli continues as Mies, we're hearing, has elected to pit finally with that damage. But yeah, Matty, we think he's going exceptionally well, but Thamuli still over 1 minute ahead now that they've both made their pit stop. And it looks like
Matty's
Thamuli
given up
here.
with that.
Absolutely. Is that Thamuli going past Lorenzo, or is that another car? Or
It is.
lap
Yeah,
Lorenzo?
Steve
Yeah.
Martin in the middle as well.
Yeah,
So we've
absolutely.
got the leaders. Well, rather no, Lorenzo isn't leading anymore, is he? Maserati is somewhere just up the road as we lose Onifus. Onifus is out, so he was quite highly placed, and has decided to call it a day, unfortunately.
Big shame there to lose Onifus. As you say, it was really a factor in this race, certainly early on. And as we see Thamuli going through the traffic there. Of course, Lorenzo second in the category at the moment, but did elect to take that stop, while Maserati I don't think has. So it will be interesting to see what Maserati elects to do in the next kind of few laps or so. If he does have to make a pit stop, then obviously that margin will be inverted. Maserati, this time by at least crossing the timing line for another one ticked in the books, does not go into the pits, pitches it into turn one. But if Maserati can stay out, we know that of course the pit stops are not mandatory. Well, he's looking exceptionally good at the moment, even if the car is slowing down on the tyres. He has got a bit of a margin, 35 seconds, where if he loses a bit of time at the moment, he would need to lose somewhere in the region of, just over a second a lap before that became a battle. So, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one.
Well,
There
those
could
two
be
cars
some
were going
class
past...
honours.
Sorry, go on, Key.
Sorry, I was just going to say there could be some class honours to be picked up here. The overall honours of obviously first and second looks fairly dialed in now to the top two there of Matti and Thamuli, but third place still up for grabs. Could be Roni, could be Maserati, and obviously we still have 12 laps to go, so a lot could happen there. But I'm interested to know now, if you guys are in Thamuli's position, what are you thinking? Do I slow down, dial it back, maybe a half a second a lap, just to manage it to the end, or do you maybe take one of the pit stops with a minute of gap, take 30-second pit stop?
I'll take this one. I would pull into the pits and watch Braveheart.
I like it. Yes, absolutely. But no, I think that for Thamuli now, it's really being in the lead by over a minute is a wonderful thing. But I think it's an exceptional challenge as well for the mentality, because as you say, you can slow down. You know that Matti behind is pushing as hard as he can by the look of it, at least visually from what you can see on the screen, with Maserati in third place. But unfortunately, if you slow down, you might lose that concentration, as we see a Group 5 car in the very background of that shot going a bit squirrely. If Thamuli loses his concentration and does slow down, it's where the mistakes creep in. So actually keeping it pinned might be the safest option here.
For me, if it's me, I've had a little dabble with these cars, and I know how hard they are to drive. I'm backing off a bit. I'm braking a couple of meters early for corners. I'm being gentle on the throttle, because Matty's pushing. You know how hard they are and how easy it is to make a mistake. He's more likely than not going to make a mistake trying to catch. So I'm backing off a bit. I'm taking it easy, keep an eye on the gap, and I'm also keeping an eye on that tyre wear, seeing if I need to come in or not.
Absolutely. We had Tomas in the pits there, I believe, either pitting from third or fourth in Group 5. Benzin's now got through, as you say, Pete, but it was damage only, unfortunately, for Tomas. So Benzin there through as well. So unfortunately, Tomas with a bit of damage that will cost him quite considerably. And Stiefler is right on Madjester, 4/10 behind as they squirrel their way through one of the fast sweepers. I think this is again heading down towards that 12, 13, 14, 15 complex. Takes a quick look there, Stiefler, shows the nose to the wing mirror of Madjester. Big swaps of opposite lock there for both of them. They've got one of the other cars ahead. I'm not quite sure who that was, apologies. Jam ahead, and now they're going to hit into the final corner. But at this point, for Madjester, what was a roadblock going through that complex now becomes an opportunity to get a bit of a slipstream. And it looks like Madjester got a better exit anyway. Stiefler's fast, but it looks like possibly in all the wrong places to try and get past Madjester.
Well, he shows
Only
so much
minor.
pace to constantly close that gap up. It's like a yo-yo. He'll close the gap up, make a mistake, drop it right back, and he'll close it all the way back up again. So you think he has the pace to go far. Oh,
Well, blue flags for Jam here, and he does have to move. They are in the same class. That is good etiquette to get out of the way, but he's
got past
made
one
that
of...
more difficult.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely. He's taking a bit...
I also just want to
Sorry. Maserati has had a big incident with Mies. I think it was a backmarker situation there. Maserati's been round, and so too has Mies. So these two have been together. Sorry, back to that fight.
Yeah, I was just going to mention there, obviously these are both within the road class here, but obviously very little in the way of differences. They've both been balanced out quite well as vehicles. They'll have positives and negatives in terms of their handling characteristics, but in terms of this championship, there's only a very minor engine penalty for the Chimera, which we're on board with now with Stiefler, when you compare it to the Firefly. So these cars are incredibly even, and as Stiefler just runs wide there into the wall, and he just needs to try and... I know, he just needs to kind of bring it all back once again, calm himself down and get his foot back on the gas and do it in a nice controlled manner, reclose that gap back up there. But right as we're talking about him there, once again, both cars still a massive handful. These cars are not easy to drive just because they are considered to be the entry-level class. These cars are difficult, even the lower end here, like the likes of Manchester and Stiefler are driving here. These are not easy things to handle.
And the engine position does have an effect as well. That Porsche does have the engine in the back. It does have loads of weight over the rear, and it does like to step out on you.
Yeah, for Stiefler, every time he gets close enough to Manchester to be in with a shout, I think he almost just loses his head or something like that. Completely understandable as we see the class leader Donald going past one of the back markers who does very well, indicating to the side to let the leader through. But even with the battling, relatively speaking, from Manchester and Stiefler, it's still only a 9.5 second gap between them over the last few laps. They've still made a few tenths on the road class leader. So, and Steve is catching too, so this one could be fourth for the lead by the end if we see any kind of hint of a mistake from Donald. Although, to be fair, so far it's really good.
Another narrative I want to just draw everyone's attention to is the battle for third place overall. Obviously, Maserati there, 23.9 seconds ahead of Roney, who is in a much faster car and in a faster class. We have just over 10 laps to go. Can Roney make up that time, make up that distance to take third overall in this race, or will Maserati hold out to take third in the overall honours and win his class? I am so excited to watch that gap and see how that continues over the remaining laps.
And of course, Roney did overtake the Muley earlier in the race. He let him back through, but he did clearly have some kind of pace there, so that's definitely one to watch out for.
Definitely, and Lorenzo second in the Prototype 2 category as well. When Maserati had that incident that Pete mentioned off camera, he lost probably about 9 seconds to Roney, which may be somewhat due to the difference in pace as well since then, but also lost about 6 or 7 seconds to Lorenzo. So this one's still by no means over for the class victory.
Stiefler closing back up to Manchester. Again, that gap seems to have come down. Potentially there's been maybe a moment for Manchester that we've not seen off camera, but he's now closing back up just over a second, separating second and third in this particular road class. Who's your money on, guys? Stiefler or Manchester?
Stiefler for me. He's shown promise, hasn't he? But he just needs to tighten up a bit and stop smashing into these outside fences in the back part of the circuit. I reckon if he just, settles down, he can get it done in these last 10 laps.
I'm going Manchester. He's just looked composed. He's not put a foot wrong. He's kept it sensible. And Stiefler, as we said, every single time he gets close, he makes some kind of mistake. He hits a wall. He loses the rear. He just loses time. He nearly dropped it earlier when he was getting past by some prototypes, getting a wheel on the grass. I'm going Manchester.
I think you're all far too sensible here. We've seen Stiefler a little bit out of control at times, and then you see Manchester now as well. He's been the picture of consistency. But if Stiefler makes an error and it's too close to Manchester, I'm picking Steve.
I would also like to add here that Stiefler is the defending road class champion as well, so I think he might have this in the bag. Look how close they are coming into the heavy braking zone. Ooh, Manchester's all crossed up and holds it really well. Stiefler now right on the back of him, and this other classes are not helping heavy into the braking zone, now slowing them down as we look back from Manchester onto Stiefler's front there. Car looking really aggressive as we now ride on board with Stiefler through the final turn. Can he get a run on Manchester? Manchester runs slightly wide, touches the wall. Is that going to affect the drive off the corner? I think it has. Stiefler is catching, he's catching. Will he go left or right? He's throwing, he's going aggressive, goes right. We've got classes overtaking to the outside.
Got the leader.
As we now dive into the corner, Stiefler gets it done. Now can he maintain on the brakes? I think Manchester's looking for a bit of a lunge. He decides not to, but he's on the inside.
Big contact from East there as well.
Still side by
Absolutely.
side through here.
Awesome
through
stuff.
turn two.
They are still side by side. We'll come back to the battle in a second, but it's Stiefler on the outside of Mad Jester as they make the run down to turns 3 and 4. It's going to be Jester with the inside line into the next right-hander for the chicane, but Stiefler's power is proving to be monumental as he pulls ahead and will take the position back before, well before the next series of corners. And yeah, Stiefler has made his way through. It remains to be seen. Jester there cutting the corner very nicely indeed.
Oh, they've got a
Absolutely
spinner in
pinned.
front.
And we've got Roney off in front as well. That is crucial. Not particularly difficult in terms of third in prototype 1, but that is certainly going to put paid to his chances, I think, of catching Maserati for third overall. Mad Jester, though, still not giving up this position relative to Stiefler. Hard on the brakes. It looks like a little bit of contact. And Stiefler manages to catch it, but only just. Mad Jester into the back of the Porsche. I think as we head now down through the sweepers with a little bit more power, that Porsche will pull away a little bit. But absolutely frenetic here between the two of them.
Up.
Can Stiefler keep it clean here? Because it's where he's been coming unstuck previously. He goes in a little bit deep, catches the grass, but it's nice. Mad Jester, though, still very much there as they make the run down the fastest section of the track.
The top end, does he? Look at it. Look at Stiefler just pulls away on these straights. Mad Jester is better in the twisty stuff for sure, but these straights are too long. Look at that advantage. That's absolutely ridiculous.
I think we need to revisit the balance of performance between these two cars. I believe it's a 2% deficit to the Chimera. It might need to be slightly more just to bring them back. However, I cannot get over the grip levels for Manchester heading through these turns.
Yeah, that Porsche, an absolute beast, a complete challenge to drive though, hence the difference in power, I suppose. But yeah, Mad Jester coming once again into the tight twisty section, 12, 13, 14, 15. We've got another slower road car ahead. Can that prove to be a factor as Stiefler tries to make a move on it, possibly going down into turn 1? But Mad Jester's not close enough, as we know. That Porsche is going to carry on with plenty of speed heading across the timing line for what will be the start of their 37th lap, because they're already a couple of laps down on the leaders. But 31st, sorry, yes, their pace is a little bit slower than even the Group 5s. But Mad Jester, unfortunately, not quite within touching distance.
They're still trying to get past this slow road class car, and there's a Group 5 coming as well, just to get in the mix.
Here we go,
three wide down there.
Brilliant stuff there. We've got the Group 5 going down the inside, but that's caught
Mad Group 5 coming as well.
Right back up, we've got another Group 5 coming through. Well, he has no idea where to go. Everyone's 3 wide, so he's just going to pick the smallest gap possible. Brilliant stuff there from Benzin in what is 5th place overall in his class, but actually only 1.5 seconds ahead of behind Tomas. So he's certainly got something to fight for, as you could see from the way he was getting through that traffic.
This area of the track is so relaxing to drive on because you've got so much room. It's a proper circuit, and then you get into this just anxiety-filled section where honestly, it's just single file, really narrow, really tight corners, really difficult braking zones. It's just kind of the whole thing's just terrifying.
Absolutely.
If this is anxiety section, if this is the anxiety section, the magnetic corner is definitely the depression corner, because it's caught so many drivers out this weekend. But as we now sit here, Manchester is closing back up again onto the rear view of Stiefler. He is closing in these tight, twisty sections as we head into that so-named corner. Heavy on the braking. Manchester's right there, and he's on the rear quarter panel. But I think Stiefler will now have the drag and drive away from him. It's a battle of the philosophies: front engine versus rear engine, heavy power versus maximum corner grip. I love this battle. It's phenomenal, and I hope it continues for the next 6 laps.
And that's disadvantage with this section being single file. He has got the better speed in the corners, but you can't use it because you can't go side by side.
Yeah, gorgeous stuff. Every time there's a lateral acceleration imposed on these two cars, as we see Jam go a little bit wide, losing a little bit of time for, I think that's 7th or 8th in class. But as soon as one of these cars puts a little bit of lateral load into it, it's Mad Jester with the advantage. But as soon as they can get on the loud pedal, it is Stiefler that can eke some time away. So this is a real battle, and I think that we're going to see another little bit of a slide there on the acceleration from Stiefler. It's not going to help Mad Jester too much. The gap will be large enough that I'm pretty sure by the time they get to turn 1, unless that slipstream is monumental for Mad Jester, it's another lap of relative comfort for Stiefler. But you feel like it's only a matter of time. Every time Mad Jester gets close enough in one of the 2 ends of the circuit, then he's going to make a move at some point, because time is running out.
I think because of that power, he's trying to get on the throttle as quickly as possible to try and pull out as much of a gap as he can, and it just means that sometimes he's getting wheel spin and sliding about.
Traffic's also playing a part as well. As the overtaking traffic comes to overtake these two, both of them are getting caught out, and all it's going to take is for Stiefler to get caught at a slightly awkward moment, and maybe again Manchester can capitalise. But as we now look at Matty, who is running in P2, 1 minute 25 seconds behind Thamuli with 6 laps to go. Ronin also running in P4 as well. I believe he's only a couple of seconds now behind Maserati there. I think it's one of the things we were mentioning, that battle for P3. It is now coming down to the last couple of laps. I'm going to be interested to see how long Maserati can hold on to that place as Lorenzo runs in P5, second in class, as he navigates his way through the traffic as he gets
That is a big off for Lorenzo. Absolutely massive. He's over the fence and unfortunately upside down. I was going to say Maserati had lost a lot of time. I believe he may have pitted, which would have put Lorenzo right back in with a shout here, but unfortunately the Italian is upside down over the fencing on the start-finish straight, and that is probably, well, that's certainly the end of Lorenzo's hopes here, and will promote Twin Cam and Rayman into podium positions in Prototype 2. Very, very late drama here.
I think to raise here, there is a regulation in the championship where if you have a crash, you can rejoin, but you have to serve a 1 minute penalty. If you fail to serve that, you will be disqualified.
Looking at the gaps, that would probably mean that Lorenzo can still manage to cement 4th position in Prototype 2, depending on how other things play out. But absolutely huge as he's trying to get past the traffic. And Thamuli, of course, blissfully unaware of that sort of thing happening at the moment. But it's only a matter of time as he comes up towards one of the light cars. Mies, sorry, I forgot the name temporarily. But yeah, managing to get past cleanly enough. But at the end of the day, Thamuli is as much at risk of all of this as everybody else. So hopefully he can keep his nose clean. 1 minute 27 second margin. But this one is not over yet.
Endurance racing, anything that can happen will happen. Lorenzo there comfortably sitting second in class, 5th overall, and it's all gone wrong on lap 41 of 46, an hour of 25 minutes worth of racing, and it's all gone wrong. Thamuli, yes, he's ahead of the lead by 1 minute and 28 seconds, but he is not out of the woods yet. At any moment, this can all come crashing down like a tower of cards. He has to keep his composure, has to keep control, and has to stay away from everyone else, because it might not be him that ruins his race, it might be someone else.
I know Thamuli's pace has been absolutely imperious, but I think we've just seen on the stream there, as we see someone cutting across the chicane, and two of the Group 5 cars coming together. That was a bit of an incident. I think it's Highwatt spun on his own, and then Gabba unfortunately caught him there, so that's a bit of contact and an issue for the two of those. But we saw on the stream,
lucky he didn't flip as well. We've seen that before. He did get scooped up, but didn't go right over.
Definitely. But to go back to my point, you're seeing Thamuli in the last sector there behind a Prototype 2. More than happy to sit. He knows he can lose a bit of time. He is taking it nice and steady. To quote one of our favourite colleagues over in the motorsport world, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. But for Thamuli, he's accepting the points where it's going to take a bit of time from him as being a necessary evil. We're seeing Roni on the camera as well now. Roni, in fact, he's got past Maserati, I believe. Yeah, so that's Roni ahead of Maserati. The Prototype 1 in 3rd in class is now 3rd overall as well, demoting the Prototype 2 leader to 4th. 5th place is Gabba in the Group 5 category, and he looks to be about 35 seconds ahead of Tim DC, with Highwatt and Itamas in 3rd and 4th respectively, while Donald continues to lead that gap to Stiefler down to 8.2 seconds, but with only a few laps remaining for those cars. It looks like that Donald at the moment is not under immediate pressure, although with every Prototype that goes past, and certainly outbreaks himself going into the corner ahead of him, that is going to be a very difficult end of the race to encounter. Twin Cam, unfortunately, playing skittles, and that looked like that was Stiefler, wasn't it?
Tyres and bollards everywhere. This is chaos for these drivers.
Stiefler and Manchester nearly got caught up in that mistake by Twin Cam there. That was so close to ruining their races. Again, it's what I was saying before. You can drive the perfect race for 45 of these 46 laps, and all it takes is someone else to make an error, and your race is over. Stiefler and Manchester so lucky to get through there. But another thing I'd just like to highlight, can we just talk about how impressive Gabba has been this race, running P5 overall in the 3rd quickest class. Phenomenal work by Gabba.
Very impressive there. That Group 5 we've seen is probably one of the harder cars to drive here. at Westhill. But yeah, a brilliant performance all the way through. It's an exceptionally good looking car, probably one of my favourite in the field, as we see Roney there getting a little bit squirrely as he's going through. He's up to P3 overall ahead of Maserati, who is now dropping 4 seconds back in that prototype coupe. So really, really good stuff there from Roney. 48 seconds the margin to Matty in second, who is a further 1 minute 32 seconds behind race leader Thamuli. That is absolutely exceptional. I know I keep saying it, but I'm so impressed by the performance by the race leader here.
If you're just joining now, you'd look at that timing tower and think, oh yeah, you got 3 P1 cars at the top. That's as expected. It's not been like that this entire race so far.
No, it's been quite a mix. Just a word to those who are wondering why Lorenzo is at the bottom. You don't get your laps back in this championship if you throw it in a fence. You can just rejoin, do some testing, and yeah, you'll get your laps back at the end. It'll be counted on, tacked on at the end.
But this has been a total race of attrition. Lorenzo will still finish P3 overall in class, which is quite surprising given the size of that mistake. But once again, he ran a perfect race, was looking really, really good for maybe even a class win, and all it takes is one mistake and the race is done. That is the evil side of endurance racing. You commit so much, and all it takes is one minor mistake and it's gone. But now we're right on board with Trespasser as he continues to try and push towards the end of the race as well.
Absolutely, only 7 seconds behind Omar, so he knows that there's something there to sniff for, especially with the amount of incident that we've seen today. These last 2 or 3 laps are absolutely going to be just as exciting, I believe, as we see Maserati there bundled up behind a Group 5. Looks to be slightly less patient than we saw from Thamuli. We've got Tim DC there, sorry. He's managing to get past, but yeah, even though the same net result was there, he got stuck behind the entire complex. He was certainly pushing for a gap as they went into that final corner.
So as we get to close and end here, I just want to point out, as this is our first round of the championship this year, there are penalties in this series. They will be applied after the race, as are the laps being tacked on. So the results here are not the final results. We'll have to wait and see after race control how to look to see if there's any penalties that need to be applied, or any laps need to be added back for those that have had incidents.
Very good point there, Sears. We see Matty on the screen absolutely zipping through. His front aerodynamic looks slightly askew. I don't think that will be doing him any favours as he's driving around this course, heading now into the complex as well.
There have been some great narratives this race. Once again, Matty's recovery from that turn 1 spin with a Le Mans style start. I know I was going to come on to a history lesson at some point during this to talk about Jackie Ickx in 1969, but I've simply not had the time or the ability to do so. The racing has been frantic and fantastic for all 90 minutes, and it continues to do so as Magic there is passed by one of our Class 1 leaders and just needs to keep it on the black stuff there as he holds the slide and settles back in to look for the last couple laps of this race.
And he needs to watch his mirrors for Stiefler here as well.
Yeah, really good point there. I think so. We're seeing that between the leaders and 6th or 7th in the road class, they're about to put a lap on there as well for Stiefler. But I think you've just raised the perfect point there, Kieran. That is how you do well in this series, it would appear. Keep it on the black stuff.
Agreed. I mean, we've just seen so many of the big name drivers, the ones you'd really be expecting to be up at the top of the grid, making these errors. Lorenzo, the organizer of this championship, having that huge moment there, Matty spinning on lap 1. What could have been for him if he'd had a completely controlled start like the Muley? Could he have followed him throughout the race, put more pressure on him, forced him into maybe a slightly different strategy? It all could have been, ifs, buts, and maybes. But the reality of it is, the Muley has controlled this race from start to finish, as we see Stiefler there heading through Sector 2, who's also had a really impressive race as well, albeit with maybe one too many mistakes, something he might want to look at addressing ahead of round 2 later on in this month.
Absolutely. We all know that over the course of a season, especially in endurance racing, the result of the championship is often a result of your worst days. So if Stiefler can finish P2 here, having had a day of pretty much hitting quite a few walls around the circuit, I think it's fair to say, then P2 is certainly a fantastic result. We're right on board with Steve Martin, 4th in the category, but only 4 seconds away from being in P2. So this one is going to battle on to the very end here.
Well,
St. Martin could be
race
on for a late
leaders
podium
going over
here.
this. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's getting closer, and we've seen what Stiefler managed to do in the same machinery. So there's no reason from past experience that Steve can't get this done, except the fact that Thamuli is about to start the final lap of the race. 1 corner to go.
Absolutely, Thamuli coming round with 1 corner to go, as you say, Pete. He's going to come through to start lap 46 of 46, 1 minute and 41 seconds, nearly a full lap ahead of second position, with Rody 52 seconds further back in third, and indeed a full lap behind the race leader. We'll go through the classes briefly. Maserati is leading by a comfortable margin over Redman in Prototype 2, with Lorenzo against all odds looking like he's going to manage to take a class podium despite that massive incident on the start-finish straight. Looking in Group 5, we've got Gabba ahead by about 50 seconds over Tim DC, with Hiwatt in third. The battles there look like they've probably shaken out somewhat, but I think the focus of this last lap, other than watching a race leader going through at an incredible pace, is going to be in the road category, with Donald leading by 6.5 seconds over Stiefler, Mad Jester a further 3.5 back, with Steve Martin watching racing with a watching brief in P4, but still well within touching distance.
Something I'd like to point out is the MRC team currently have a brace of second places in the Prototype 1 and in the Group 5 class.
Very good point indeed there. The team's obviously exceptionally important as part of this championship, but we see Steve Martin, he is still only just over a second away. Even if we can only make it ahead of Mad Jester, he will get the final spot on the podium. They've got one of the faster cars coming up as they head down towards here, and oh my goodness me, was that Lorenzo again on the grass?
Yeah.
He certainly has learnt that there are certain bits of the grass that he can keep driving on, but he's come straight across there, and he's in the road. That's Mad Jester. Steve Martin is ahead, and that happened just ahead of our overall leader, but Steve Martin has managed to take third position. Fantastic. Race leader goes through the final corner. Thamuli, an absolutely dominant performance. We're going to have to wait for quite a while until we see P2 crossing the line. That's absolutely stunning. Thamuli takes the first round here of the Retro Cup at Westhill with an imperious performance. Absolutely brilliant. Best lap of just 1:55.48. Here we go. We see Matty, and that's a big one across the line there for Gabba. And Gabba wins the race in Group 5 as well. We're going to have plenty of action as we see all of the group class winners. Maserati, Prototype 2 leader now, coming through the final section as well, winding his way through the tight stuff. We'll be happy to keep watching the rear of the other car in his class behind, taking the victory over them by almost a lap. But yeah, Maserati coming through now to take Prototype 2 honours. A brilliant drive, somebody that we didn't see an awful lot of throughout some of the race, but that was just an indication of how solid a race that they had. And now we see Prototype 1 P2 overall, Matty coming through what looks to be the fast sweepers. And we're hearing someone is out of fuel as well on this final lap, unfortunately. Matty coming through now, looking like he's going to come down towards turn 12, 13, 14 and 15 eventually. As I say, it's quite a while until we see the next of our overall results coming through. But you can still see Matty pushing exceptionally hard here.
We've got a big gap for Matty behind the race winner, but he has still been very, very good. He's had very good pace, just not quite good enough.
Absolutely. It's all lap one when he had that spin straight off the Le Mans style start, and it's once again it's a what could have been for Matty there, but ifs, buts and maybes. He's just going to have to take the learnings from this round and apply it to the second round, where he can try and mount a challenge against the absolutely imperious Thamuli and his domination of this race. 1 minute 30 seconds, I believe, the gap to him and Matty. Absolutely crazy times.
Brilliant stuff there. It might be a distant second, but second it is nonetheless. Roni rounds out the podium overall and in Prototype 1, with Maserati taking honours ahead of Redman in Prototype 2. Gabba with a fantastic 5th overall in the third fastest class here, ahead of Tim DC and Hiwatt rounding out the podium. And then in that monumental battle in road, it is looking at this, have we got... No, I think it would still be... so we've got Stiefler, Steve Martin and Mad Jester there on the screen. I think someone may be missing. Here we go, absolutely. And there we go, taking class honours is Donald. Apologies for that one, a bit confused by the timing screen. And that's fantastic.
Brilliant drive by Donald. Just wasn't really being battled at all. And of course, that battle with Stiefler and Jester just pulled them back.
Absolutely. Donald probably someone we saw the least of all the way through the day, but that was just because he was quietly getting on about it and taking the class win.
Exactly that. I'm reluctant to call it an underrated drive because I think for the class it was quite dominant, to be quite frank. But just, every time we panned to him, he was just keeping calm, keeping strong. One lap, he beat his entire class by an entire lap. It's been a dominant result for Donald in class. And like I said, just a narrative that we didn't quite have time to focus on because he was just a league ahead of everyone else.
And an hour and a half race, only losing 2 laps to the Group 5s as well, is not bad going, especially for the pace difference between those 2 cars.
Absolutely. Well, we need to come up for some air, gents, because even though we're racing in the virtual world, we've added quite a lot of CO2 to the atmosphere tonight. That was intense action for sure. And, I have to say, what a debut for you three as well. Round of applause needed, I'm sure. I hope everybody enjoyed the commentary from Kieran Robson, Rob Mathershaw, and Adam Sears in your ear. I think they did a great job on their debut. So thanks very much to you, gentlemen. Unless there's any parting words, I'm going to run through the full results list and we can get into the post-race analysis. Anything before we do that?
I think I'm just going to need to take a breath, but yeah, I think the results sound great.
Let's do it then. Let's go through those all-important race results for you folks. Zafranis Thamuli there in 19 minutes, at 1 minute 48 seconds ahead of his closest competitor in the Prototype 1 class. Matty there in P2. Roni rounds out the top 3 in Prototype 1, separated by more than a lap in the end. Thamuli, definitely the one to watch going into round 2 of the championship. Then we've got the winner in Prototype 2. It's Maserati, who I said earlier was South American. He's Dutch. That's a bit of egg on my face, but he does drive for Team America. So, there's that. Gabba was 5th place and the leader, the winner in Group 5 overall. Then we've got P2 in Prototype 2, Rayman there in P6. Tim DC, 2nd place in the Group 5 category and 7th overall with Hiwatt. And Tamas, Benzin and Williams also driving in that Group 5 category down to P11. Then we've got the excellent lights to flag performance from Gum Garage's Donald there in P12 overall, P1 in the road category with a hard-fought battle and great entertainment all the way through, gents. I think we'll be in agreement on that one between Born to Race Stiefler, Steve Martin, and SGR Mad Jester. Trespasser, he got caught up in that incident early on, didn't he? Ended up on his roof in the gravel trap at turn 1. And therefore couldn't really get stuck into the action as much as I'm sure he would have wanted to today. He finishes down in P16 overall and P5 in the road class. Then we've got Omar 136, Jam 616, Magic and Hermani rounding out your road class with LG Mies finishing 4th overall in the Prototype 1 class and 22nd overall. And Lorenzo is at the back, unfortunately, with that incident on lap 41, lead lap 41, that has put him all the way down at the back. A long list of non-finishers tonight scattered in amongst the results. Onifus a DNF, Unite a DNF, Rog Nilsson, Yere, Mouseman, Bobby Sixkiller, Elliot Howard. We also had Cried, Tatarone, Coyote and Murtar not finishing the race, but being classified at various positions in our results. But you'll have to wait for the full rundown by Lorenzo post-race to work out where everyone will be after the incidents, penalties, and laps re-awarded for incidents throughout the race. But I have to say, although it was quite a lot of drama throughout that, I think that was a pretty successful event. So congrats to the Race Green team and to Lorenzo, even if his race result was not the one he wanted. Gents, anything to say? Now you've had a time to potentially reflect on what was quite an interesting race.
Yeah, it's certainly action-packed. I think something else to note is that with these finishers, definitely a lot of people quite far down the order that I think over the course of the championship won't be. This is obviously round 1, and I think you'll see a lot of people practicing their race starts and just seeing if they can make some improvements as the season goes on.
Just want to add as well, at the moment, the race number 69 is carried by Kalle Rovanperä, rally prodigy in the World Rally Championship, and I think that there's a fair to be made that Thamuli might be a Retro Cup prodigy with the amount of time between him and second place. I think the guys at the top of the top class will need to do some homework over the next few days and catch up for round 2.
Absolutely, I think Thamuli there, a class of his own, as we've said throughout, an absolutely incredible performance. But I don't think we should take away from anybody else, anyone who made it to the end of that race. I think we saw some fantastic action throughout the field from everybody. So yeah, loved that as the first one. I can't wait to see what comes up for the rest of the season.
Well, speaking of the rest of the season, nicely queued up there by Rob, we are going to be back in 2 weeks' time for Aston Retro, which will round out the action from this championship in September before we head to Blackwood and Fern Bay in October, Kyoto Ring and Berlin at the Layout Square in November, and something that I'm sure we're all very much looking forward to already. It's a 2-hour endurance race. Extra 30 minutes is surely going to cause a lot more drama at Westhill de la Sarthe, which is a track I'm sure we're all interested to see how that looks in December, early December 8th there, when the winter is well and truly upon us. We will have some endurance action on the channel for you all to enjoy. Yeah, anything we want to say before we wrap up tonight's action? I think what we can say is that the Retro Cup is back with a bang. We're very happy to be covering it here on the channel, and we hope that you all enjoyed it. And let's get a bit of reflection from our commentators. Kieran, first of all, what was your highlight?
I mean, do you know what? The names are actually escaping me at the moment. I'll have to go back to the replay, but there was an overtake around the outside in Sector 2 where full wheels on the grass around the outside of a sweeping corner, flat out, foot to the floor. I can't recall the names of the people involved, but what an overtake that was. My heart was in my mouth.
I think Gabba was doing the overtaking. Who was he overtaking? Rayman, Chris says in our ear. Different class, though. Who was it? We'll have to consult the replay. None of us have got very good memories, apparently. But there was a lot of action, to be fair. So, yeah, Kieran, I think that's a good one. Rob, what about you?
So for me, I think, as ever in endurance racing, one of the perceived lower categories has brought out the best in everybody involved. That battle in the road category, especially with Stiefler and Mad Jester, was just a joy to watch for the entire time. So that's my highlight there. I'm picking the whole race.
Wow, it's a pretty big highlight, 90-minute highlight, but fair enough. That's Rob's. Adam, what about you?
I don't disagree with Rob, but I'm going to pick a different option. So I'm actually going to say watching people that had incidents at the start of that race pick their way through the traffic, just work their way up and get in those podium places. Definitely great to watch.
Wow, thank you very much. That was a stunning debut for the Retro Cup on our channel, and also from you guys in the booth. So very much looking forward to working with you throughout the championship. Do let us know if you enjoyed this stream by dropping us a like and a subscription potentially on YouTube if you're up for that sort of stuff, or a follow or subscription on Twitch if you are that way inclined also. But yes, from all of us here at Sim Broadcast, we hope you have a really good evening. We'll be back for more action from Race Green events tomorrow evening for Roni's Tuesday Fun Race. It's back, and it's Aston North reversed with the Skoda Ferrat Vampire RSR. That's a mouthful. But yeah, that'll be tonight at the same time and the same place for the 4th round of the 2nd season of RTFR for 2025. We hope we'll see you there. From all of us, have a good night. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Pilote, démarrez vos moteurs. Pilote, démarrez vos